Hey, Bulls and Bears. It is Monday, March 22nd, 2021. Banks beg for help. And we have a lot of other news to cover today. We've also got some housing market news. So let's go ahead and get started. Real quick, check out my previous upload there. We did an interview with Louis from Louis Metals. And we talk a lot about a lot of stuff, not just metals, but the economy and inflation. And it's a good conversation. So let's get into some numbers here. And I just want to show you a tweet that I tweeted out just recently. Banks are begging for help. The banking industry lobbies the Fed to extend the elimination of capital requirements through 2021. Now, why would the banks be lobbying the Fed? Because the banks were allowed to basically skate the rules and not have to worry about the reserve requirement. Now, this is known as the supplementary leverage ratio, and it's going to expire on March 31st. So will we start seeing some big fireworks beginning in April? Well, many are saying that. Now, anything can happen. They could come in, they could reverse this. Remember, in a manipulated market, and in manipulated market, timing is very difficult because you don't know what other type of manipulation or shenanigans are going to be pulled behind the curtains, basically. Right. Also, we need to keep an eye on the markets. Even if you're not in the markets, these are indicators of where this whole debt experiment may be headed. Now, today we're in the green. All major indexes in the green except for the Russell. We have oil going back up a little bit here, but it's been down over the past week or so. Gold and silver getting hit. The 10-year bond actually dropping a little bit. So bond yields are dropping. And we'll have to see what the Fed decides to do with the bond yield. Now, there's people out there that say the Fed is losing control or that they've lost control. I tend to disagree. I tend to think that anytime you have unlimited currency creation powers, it's impossible to lose control. So anything that happens, in my opinion, is allowed to happen from the money masters. All right. Also, when it comes to the Fed losing control, let's take a look at a chart right here. We see the Fed funds rate going back as far back as we can go. And we see that the Fed, they attempted their rate hike there, and they did a minor rate hike, but they didn't get very far. And it's been a similar pattern. You see, it's always been drop rates, attempt to raise them, economy falls apart, recession triggered, drop rates, attempt to raise them, economy falls apart, recession triggered. Same thing, housing bubble, financial crisis, drop rates, attempt to raise them, financial crisis triggered, recession. And this time, they didn't even get half as far as they did before as far as hiking these rates. So we know we've been in troubled waters here for a while now. We see the Fed balance sheet just exploding, the debt exploding, banks unleashed, allowed to loan out money out of thin air, similar to the Fed creating currency out of thin air or buying debt, monetizing the debt. And remember, we say money and currency with quotation marks around it. This is just digits on a screen. So really, we shouldn't give this system the justice of calling what they're doing money or currency. Now, could this get steered into an absolutely opposite direction? Definitely 100% it could happen. They could steer this thing, they could pull the plug. And just a few episodes ago, we talked about how the Fed may be ready to pull it. We'll have to see. Again, a manipulated market. No one knows exactly how this is going to unfold. But when we look at the rates, we see that we are at the floor. Look here to the far right, we are at the floor. They could go negative. Again, anything can happen with the manipulation. Okay, other news today, home sales dropping. Now, this is just from month to month. If we look at the chart here, we see the drop initially when the illness came out last year. Then we see the huge uptick with all these people looking to move out of the city, the work at home craze, the 50-year low in the mortgage rates, the loosening of the lending, the easing of the capital requirements for the bank, which is now in jeopardy, and the banks are lobbying and they're begging for that to be reversed. So the month-over-month decline, not an indicator overall of the housing market, because we still see that it's in skyrocket territory right here. Well, let's take a look at some other information because home flippers are again making record profits. And I tweeted this out just recently, the housing bubble, real estate flippers, biggest profits in 15 years in 2020. Look at to the far right here of the chart. So here we are again. I remember after the housing bubble went bust, people thought that that would never happen again, that we would never see this type of insanity in the housing market. People are playing with what normally would just be a roof over your head, shelter. People are using these as profit tools. And we see the home flippers, they're laughing all the way to the bank. In the meantime, millions of people can't pay their mortgage because the speculation in this market, including these home flippers, right? And again, this pales even prior to the housing bubble, 2007, 2008. So where does this end? Does anyone think that we're going to go past everything that we saw in 2008? More debt, more leverage, bigger bubbles everywhere, and yet people think this is not going to end badly. All right, so a lot of things to keep an eye on, folks. And this is not just in the US. Remember, we saw Canada home prices in Toronto, $1 million median home prices. People are just taking on debt at unbelievable levels. Canada housing bubble also, new home prices rise by most in 30 years. Lumber prices skyrocketing, not just in the US. So inflation is everywhere. Right. Speaking of inflation, Lisa Abramowicz tweeted this out. Inflation expectations hit a 12-year high. This is out of a Bloomberg.com article. Now we see rising prices across the board. There's only a few areas that we see dropping prices. Again, it doesn't guarantee that prices cannot drop. Remember, in a manipulated market, they can pull the rug out. If things continue as they've been, we will continue to see inflation. All right, but be careful in these markets. The market makers, the money masters, they can change the direction anytime they want to. They have complete control. In my opinion, be careful out there, folks. Thanks for watching this report. Come back soon for more updates on the economy and finance news. Stay well, everybody. Stay safe. Stay prepared. Bye for now. Peace.